Thank you, Lars Concorla, and if you would allow me at the start of this to indulge you for 30 seconds I want to go on the record of the Dáil on the previous debate that was here, that I asked the Minister for Health to answer a question, and we left him a minute and a half to answer the question, and he sat in the chair with his head down, and when he got up to answer my question, he started talking to another TD and completely ignored the childcare workers in Ireland and the retired nurses that were asked to come forward for the vaccination programme. I just want to put that on record.
Well, I think you'll have to take that up directly with the Minister, Deputy.
Thank you. Minister O'Brien, I'm delighted that you're here. The Land Development Agency is a way forward of building houses. However, the Land Development Agency must work with the agencies. Every city and small town in Ireland are looking for houses to be built. This cannot be a random house building, but a vision for a long-term view of the city and towns and villages. Population is increasing, and the demand now more than ever for green spaces for children, families where they live. We need the experience of the Land Development Agency, and I do see the agency filling a role, along with the councils and in Limerick the 2030. In Limerick we are fortunate to have an active council. There is 40 county councillors within Limerick City and County Council, 21 in the city, 19 in the county. But the Land Development Agency are only looking at lands in the city. And this is where I have the concern for, I represent County Limerick. And I've brought it up on many occasions of the lack of infrastructure within our towns and villages. And as I say, there is a space for the Land Development Agencies, but it has to cover all our counties. It has to work with Limerick City and County Council. It has to work within, like what they set up in Limerick, the 2030 group, which have actually started building houses in Mungret, and where families now are going into properties where they can actually afford to live. But when I look outside of the city and I look at the lands that the Land Development Agency has told us that they are not looking at, is because there is no infrastructure. My job as a public representative for Limerick is to work for all of Limerick. I do understand to have a vibrant county, you need a vibrant city. But the last agency that we had in Limerick, and it was brought up earlier on by Deputy O'Donnell, was the regeneration, and that did not work. If anything, it actually caused mayhem within the city and the county. And we are dubious to what the Land Agency will do. If there is a commitment that can be put in place that the Land Development Agency have to work with our local authorities and have to work with the likes of our 2030 groups and other agencies to bring houses for city and county, well then I would welcome that. But what we are seeing at the moment and what is being put out there is the Land Development Agencies say they don't have to talk to local authorities. They don't have to talk to any other agencies, that they're an agency of themselves. Now, I'm in construction all my life, and I have seen the pitfalls from sitting on the council, from being in construction myself. I've seen the pitfalls of how things happen. We need to make sure that the vision, and I'll talk about Limerick, has to be a vision that it caters for the young, the old and the vulnerable. That it covers all those. We don't want high-rise apartments. We don't want people crammed in. They're looking at Corbett Station at the moment in Limerick, Corbett Station in Limerick. They're hoping to build 2,000 units there. That was actually recommended to them by Limerick City and County Council for the LDA to look at it. And the executive of the LDA have a good relationship with Limerick City and County Council. But it's been put out there that one is fighting the other. Yes, the councillors in the areas have concerns because of its amalgamation being city and county. And they see it very, very city orientated. I've brought up there recently about the water services within city and county, that there is 60% of the people in our city and county have inadequate water. And there's 73% of the city and counties, mainly in the county, have inadequate sewerage. Not everyone wants to live in the city. And that would be my biggest thing with the LDA, that it is completely, as what I'm looking at, it is completely city-based. We need our towns and villages to make sure that they have the connectivity and the storage so they can be part of this plan. And an overall plan, whether it's used in a rural development, that the councils work to get in the services within in the county areas. It cannot just be about cities. It has been proven time again that the councils cannot get through the bureaucracy, and getting housings on a level requires, now annually needs 60,000 houses to be built per annum. If you look at the dereliction in our cities and in our towns, a lot can be achieved in our cities and towns if you rebuild the streetscapes. It was said here in the Dáil, even in Dublin here, is that 60% of the first over the main floor are all empty. Why? Because of regulations and stipulations that have been put in place for years through planning laws. If you look in the county, it's similar. So for the Land Development Agency to work, it can't be city-based. It needs to invest in the counties. It needs to invest in infrastructure. It needs to invest, and that includes our bus services, whether it's rail services. There is rail lines running through the county. All railway lines that can still be brought back in play, like what we're looking for fines. But we have to make sure that it covers all of the county. Most of the county of Limerick, anything that comes from industry and infrastructure is moving west. And we can't allow that to happen. It has to cover the whole county. We need to also look at people that are hoarding land and holding properties. We need to make sure that they either are incentivised to bring them out of dereliction and use the lands, or else they're penalised for not doing it if there's a need in that area. But we also need to work with, and I've said it before, it's a failed identity, Irish Water. We need to work, and we need to put a management in place that Irish Water actually delivers for infrastructure for our areas. I am calling on the agency and the agencies to get the builders, developers, to build houses, because there has been, as I said earlier on, there has been bureaucracy put in place that councils can't actually build houses. So there is a role for the LDA to build houses. We need houses built. But we also need a vision for our city and for the county. And that vision means that anyone in the area, wherever they want to live, they should be entitled to live within a town and a village. Everyone in this country has their culture. I'm from the county of what do they call us, cultures. I'm proud to be one. I'm delighted to have the room and the clean air that I can do what I have to do. And I look at places where connectivity is badly wanted. We have to look from the point of view LDA of, if this happens in city bases only, that it will destroy the towns and villages for more than one reason. For any town and village to survive, it needs footfall. It needs, if they want to invest in putting in a shop, if they want to invest in putting in a butcher's, it has to have footfall and connectivity that people want to live there. It has to have infrastructure. And I spoke to the council even yesterday, and they told me that the only structures that they're looking at the moment is where there's actually infrastructure in place at the moment. And if I looked around our county, there is only a couple of towns that have the infrastructure in place that they can build. That is Kilmallock, Croom, Newcastle West. All the other places seem to have no infrastructure. Patrick's Well, All those places have it. But anything outside of that, it needs to be invested in. So we can actually put in, because long term, people want to see their GA teams, they want to see their soccer teams, football, camogie. They can't all be sustained if they don't have the proper infrastructure put in place and the proper investment. We do not want the LDA to be a runaway train. As I said previous, we had regeneration in Limerick, and it created havoc in city and county. And it took years to help try and straighten this out. We need a vision, we need infrastructure, and we need collaboration between the LDA, the local authorities, and in my own case here, agencies such as the 2030 that have a vision for each individual county to make it a complete package for each individual county, and we can all grow together. So, Minister, Deputy O'Donnell mentioned there earlier again about the Section 8. We need to make sure that the Land Development Agency, when they are disposing of land, that they have to come back to you. But if they're disposing of households or houses, they do not have to come back to you. We need to make sure that whatever the Land Development Agency does, that you have to be at the forefront of this to make sure it is protecting each individual areas. You have to make sure that the local authorities and the councillors of their area that have a vision and that are elected to represent their areas, that all their areas are represented. So I will finish on this, that I am looking forward to seeing what can be done. I'm looking forward to see everything being put in place and adoptions made to this bill that will make sure that we do not have another runaway train in Limerick, that we have somebody that will work collectively with the agencies and the local authorities to make sure that we have a vision for Limerick that is sustainable not only for city, that it will be for county. Thank you.